Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the live. How are you guys doing today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And hey to all the people watching the replay. Make sure you say hi below. If you're watching the replay, say hi. Y'all be watching the replay. I know y'all be watching the replay. Y'all don't be saying hi. I don't know what's going on with y'all. But say hi. I want to say hi to you back. How's y'all's day going? Today we are going to talk about interracial and intercultural dating. This topic has spawned from this book, which I read. And I don't typically sit down and read entire books, honestly, but I sat down and I read this entire book in just a few days. That's how intrigued I was in this story. It's not even a story. This book is full of peer-reviewed information, hands-on research done by a Black man married to a Black woman in the year 2011. So we're going to get into this, especially if you are a Black woman. This topic will especially pertain to you because this book is focused predominantly on Black relationships in comparison to white relationships. Hi, Vizzy. How are you, baby? So I'm going to go ahead and ask a question in the chat. Let's see. I think the question for today is going to be, have you ever dated interracially? I think that will be the easiest question to ask because not everybody is married, but everybody dates. So that will be the best question to ask on this live. Y'all tell me how you doing. How you doing today? Have you ever dated interracially? Hopefully I'm spelling everything right. Okay. There is the question for today on this beautiful Sunday. Hi, on this beautiful Sunday. That's the question for today. 5 votes already. Y'all voting quick, ain't y'all? Y'all voting real quick. Make sure y'all like the video. The same way that y'all are voting, double tap the video as well. Do it with me. Y'all ready? Do it with me. Doom, 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 doom. Double tap the video, y'all, so we can get more people like you. Hi, Ella. Hello, hello. For my current girlfriend, she just happens to also be white. Okay, so you haven't really expanded your dating field yet because you're already dating. Okay. Hello, y'all. Hey, Alex. How y'all doing today? How y'all doing on this beautiful Sunday? Hi, Devanshi. Okay, hi, Connie. Welcome, Connie. Shout out to Ireland, all my Irish people. Shannon said interracial marriage here. Hello, Alex. Bonjour. Thank you, Reckless. Y'all voting quick today. Y'all must like this topic. So most people say yes. Most people say yes, they've dated interracially. But nobody has said they don't want to. Okay. Connie said, I adore Black girls. Oh my God, I love. I think that's an Irish thing. I think a lot of Irish men like Black women. I don't know what's going on over there. How would y'all socialize? I love that for y'all. So yeah, y'all, we're talking about this book. This is where most of the information is coming from. This topic is not about just dating Black women. This topic is about just dating interracially in general, whatever race you are, and what that looks like. But the basis of it is coming from Black relationships. So if you are a Black woman, you'll hear a lot of information. I'm not going to lie, as a Black woman, I did cry reading this book a little bit because the facts are seen in real life. Like, you see this if you are a Black woman and you try to date, just within your own race, only Black men, you probably experience these things yourself. So, and then you probably seen a difference when dating outside of your race. Okay. I'm sorry, baby. I'm deleting this because I don't like when underage people put their age. But I'm sorry that you are experiencing bullying. I do think that unfortunately it is natural for young people to bully each other. And this is a time where you have to learn to fight back and advocate for yourself, whether that's by telling a trusted friend, not friend, but teacher, principal, parents, or start fighting back physically. Either way, you have to figure it out because people get bullied and it's unfortunate. Just don't go shoot up the school. So, have you ever dated? So, yeah, most people are saying yes, they've dated interracially. Konnichiwa. Florence said, love got no color. Pet House said, I love black women. Okay. I love that for y'all. But is it a thing of race? I think you meant to say or culture. The differences, yes. And that's why we're going to talk about race and culture today. I do want to start off by saying, hey everybody, my name is Meiana. I am a sage woman. I support overwhelmed, disconnected people of all types like you into getting their mindset for success so that they can transition through experiences in life with leisure. They're not stressed out. I help you identify limiting beliefs. I help you get back to yourself. So if you're interested in overcoming those tough things that you're experiencing right now, which are predominantly in the mind, let me know. Book a free 15-minute consultation below. I can support you in identifying at least one limiting belief in your mindset. I'm helping you do the inner work. So go ahead and book that consultation, and we're going to go ahead and get into the conversation. You said, I'm Romanian and she's mixed race from UK. We are in an 8-year relationship now. Okay. Hi, shout out to all the new people. Thank you, Vizzy. What are your credentials? I am a sage woman. Those are my credentials. And I enjoy doing research, especially on peer-reviewed articles in my free time. I am educated. So, those are my credentials. Most of my information comes from peer-reviewed articles. Just like I said, this book is full of peer-reviewed information and qualitative research and quantitative research as well. So, thank you, Ella. Thank you guys so much. We're going to go ahead and get into the topic. Thank you guys for liking the video. I see you guys probably like this topic. So we might have more conversations like this in the future. Could I help him get married? If he books a free 15 consultation, I can see where his mindset is and support him and get on the right path. Hi, Janine. Janine. Yep, Janine. That's how you say it. So, yeah, I read this book, right? This book is written by an African-American man married to a black woman. He worked at Stanford University. I don't know about his current credentials, but he was a professor there. Very educated man. And his interest was in why the marriage rates in the black community was declining. And so he was so interested in that he went and did his own research. And a lot of that included him actually engaging in real conversation with black people, different black women, I think he said in the middle class, to get their perspective on why they were not married or, why they got a divorce, all those things. So many of the things that he noticed is many of these black women were not dating outside of their race, right? And many of them were dating only black men, African-American black men. And the thing about that was that there was a cultural difference. Let me roll my window down because y'all, it's too much work. I was about to roll it down because I feel like it's probably loud outside, but it's okay. I'm not even about to try it because that was already too much. You said, so are differences caused by race or culture, and don't people of the same race have differences? Yeah, and that's what we're going to get into. I think that most differences are caused by cultural differences, but we don't always understand the impact of cultural differences. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is what it actually means to have cultural differences. And race is just an external visual that separates people. But even if you are the same race as somebody, you can have a cultural difference that can, disrupt y'all's ability to have a healthy partnership and spousal relationship. So back to what I was saying, y'all. So it's marriage for white people. So many of the black women in this story were not married because they were wanting to be in a relationship with another African American man. But the problem with that was that there was a disconnect in a few things. One of the reasons why there was a disconnect is because many African American men at this time, in 2011, around this time he did this research, it was a high rate of African American men in prison, right? So that was already one disconnect, and that decreased the amount of dating options in the black community that black women had. The second thing was that many of the black men dated outside of their race, right? So black men date outside of their race at a higher rate than black women. And so because of that, that also decreased black women's ability to date African American men, right? And then another difference that disrupted black women's ability to date and marry African American men was that many black women were educated. They went to college, got a degree. Also, they got higher degrees, like they got their bachelor's, some of them got their master's. So there was an emphasis on black women being educated, and then those same black men not being educated. Hey, John, in the same way. So it created a difference, a cultural difference within the African American community, where we have a higher rate of black women who are highly educated. You know, they're not in the prison system. And on top of that, some of these same black women are not dating outside of their race. Whereas with the black men, and these are all facts that was mentioned in the book, a lot of times when black men would get more money or they would get a higher education, they would take that and date outside their race, or they would just not get married and they wouldn't commit. So because of this, hey Byron, what you talking about, friend? A social imbalance for sure. So because of this, you see that it created, again, in a cultural difference where you have these black men dating outside of the race at a higher rate. If they are educated, they're dating, they're not committing the same rate as black women would commit. And so it decreases a black woman's dating pool altogether. And so what happens is a lot of these black women, they'll either share a man, right? They'll start sharing men, and you see that even with a current thing that just happened. If y'all know who Summer Walker is, you saw that there was some news that came out about her sharing what's that man's name? Rich, somebody rich who is engaged to his long-term fiance. So she was okay with sharing him because of the finances that he provided. So you even see currently that it's still happening. So again, when the dating pool decreased, they're not dating outside of their race. What's happening is they're sharing men. They're becoming baby moms because these same men are not committing to them. And then even on top of that, the research that the man who wrote this book said is that black men, African American men, tend to date multiple women. He was being very lenient with the word choices he was using in his book, honestly. But black men tend to date multiple women more often than other races, even when married. So you can see that, unfortunately, the black women's dating pool is decreased if you're only dating African American men. And then on top of that, when you do, oftentimes you have to date down financially. Oftentimes you have to date down financially. And then you have to date down culturally. Because if you're a highly educated black woman and you end up dating a man who is not as highly educated, you're already dating down culturally because y'all don't share the same values. If you have a degree and your partner does it, that means he does not value higher education the same way that you do, right? So those are some of the things that I wanted to, just get out and discuss, because that's why a lot of black women have a hard time getting married, is because they're not dating outside of their race. Whereas you see more black men, they do. And they seem to be happy, right? So it's not an issue with, you know, people dating outside of their race. The issue is when you are so constricted. And there were real fears. Hey D Block, hey y'all, hey Jabron, how y'all doing? There were like actual, you know, valid fears that some of these women had, but you can see through different stories that he had in this book why forcing yourself to date a man only based on your race and what you think your culture is can hinder you in the long run. It's not so mad. Dang, we got 48 votes today, y'all. Everybody on here on Sunday, y'all. I need to get my, I'm getting cold, y'all. I need to get my cardigan. Okay, so now, okay. So 54% said yes, they've dated outside of their race. 39% said no. 2% said I don't want to, and 6% said I am scared. You said don't be serious. What you mean, Jabron? Interracial relationships are more difficult in my opinion and experience. Yeah. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some of the difficulties that can happen. Not as Lucifer in the chat, y'all. Y'all better watch out. Lucifer is in the chat. It's different struggles. Definitely different struggles. So what do y'all think? Have y'all experienced that? Are some of you guys in interracial relationships currently? Hey, Kay. Is judgment from community a factor still today? It still is a factor, but there were certain research that I saw where the more people were okay with people dating interracially compared to 10 years ago. And of course, it makes sense. We have the internet now where we're going to see it more often. So we're going to become socialized to see people dating interracially. It's going to become normal eventually. No, that don't date out the house. The do it right. Like me. I like a white lady. I don't care about hell. Okay. Can't take you out sometime? Okay. Hey, Rico. How you doing, friend? I'm doing well. Jabron said, take care. Okay. So, again, the problem, okay, and I feel like some of the things that I saw when I was looking at, like, people who had something to say about this book were that many other people thought that he was, like, talking bad about black men. And I thought that was so interesting that that's what they took when, in my opinion, I think he was being a little lenient on the conversation about black men. Especially like how I said earlier, how he said the statistics show that black men oftentimes are not as committed to the relationship compared to black women. You know, they date, number one, they already date outside their race at a higher rate than black women. On top of that, he also said that when they're married, they date multiple women more often when they're married. And then when they're single, they are less likely to commit, especially when they have higher education or more money. And you can see that with some of the like sports people. You see some of those sports people like Tay Diggs right now. Some people don't know, is it because he got more money or is it because he played for the other team? If you know what I mean. Who knows why he has multiple baby moms in this very moment of his life. But you see that in the black community very often. So, hey, Gregory. So, that's what they saying. I don't know. Allegedly, that's what they saying. Because why do you have so many baby mamas in one moment in your life? Who knows? So, yeah. So what this author is basically telling black women is that you should date outside of your race. A lot of black women are afraid to lose their identity through interracial dating. A lot of black women are afraid to raise mixed children and, have fear of how am I going to raise these mixed children, especially if they're not going to be surrounded by black people. Another thing that I noticed, which I as a black woman have a fear of as well, is when you start dating interracially, and a lot of people, this is things that you don't hear, But in the black community, if you black, you know these things already. Black people can look at a mixed person, let's say mixed with black and white, right? Black people can look at a mixed person, and oftentimes you can tell if their mama was black or white. You can tell. And don't play with me like y'all don't be having those conversations. You can tell if their mama was black or white because they were raised differently. They were socialized differently. And so one of the things about dating interracially that I was reading in the book was a fear of a, not just a cultural, but what do you call it? I forgot the word already. Society standards, class difference. A class difference that can be created when black women start dating outside of their race more often. Because when black men date outside of their race, right, they date, let's say they date white women, they date down, you know, financially they may date down. But the thing about it, and let me see if I can find the exact page, because there's so much that I had to highlight in this book. So on page 46, y'all see how much I highlighted because this was probably the #1 page to read. It says research from the 1990s found that black women gave more weight to a husband's economic status than did white women, right? So basically, economically, black men fared better being with a black woman, but when they date outside their race, that's not happening. So when it comes to black women dating outside their race, especially more often, they're more educated more often, not always, but more often they're more educated. The fear for me as a black woman is there will become a class difference where we have all these mixed race people who have a different class because all of these black women and black men are going outside of their race. And then it leaves some of the black people who are, you know, dating these black men who are imprisoned, who don't value higher education. It leaves some of those people, because not all, at least some of those people at a lower class. So some of those are valid fears to have when thinking about your race. As a black woman, it's like, damn, you know? So I think that's also a value of dating interculturally, because as an American, it's not just African American men. You know, there are different types of melanated men who come from different countries who you can date, and the only difference is you already have intercultural, I mean, you already will have some form of an intercultural relationship dating black men. You know, if you don't find a black man who values higher education like you, who has the same values, you can go and find somebody else who may have those same values, but you will have to adjust culturally, you know, whether that is what do we have? We got Ghanaian, Nigerian, even some Hispanic people. They have brown skin. They are melanated people. They may not be black, but they are melanated. Asian, there's Asian melanated people. Indian men, they can be highly melanated as well. If you, girl, I know that's not Ari. Girl, I know that's not Ari coming in an interracial conversation, girl. Now I am shook, girl. Not you coming into the conversation and you changed your name. Not my Aries. Hey, girly, how you doing? Mr. Randall said, I love foreign women. I prefer to date outside my race. No, I am married to my own race. So, yeah, and I don't think there's an issue with wanting to date inside of your race. You know, many people value creating who they are. Obviously, they want to create who they are. So let's get more into the conversation. So a lot of people have a fear of the black race disintegrating. Obviously African American, because the black race in general cannot disintegrate. But African American race. Hi Skylar. Hello y'all. And so this author, he suggests that dating outside of your race will actually be supportive to the Black race, because with there being so many African American women, it creates an imbalance with African American men. And to me, he didn't say this, but to me, what it sounded like is that African American men take advantage of that imbalance and they don't commit, right? That's just how I read it. He didn't say that directly, but it seemed like a subconscious advantage of their power in not committing. And if they do commit, it's outside of their race, right? Now, I've seen Black couples. I love Black couples. Like I just told y'all one already, Zaria Coleman, on YouTube. I love watching her videos. She's a one Black couple. She got married young. But the thing about it is that her husband comes from a two-parent household, and I believe she comes from a two-parent household, if I'm not mistaken. So the disconnect can come from people who don't come from a two-parent household, which is a lot of Black people. You know, obviously that's where a disconnect can come from, where people are not committing. They don't see the value in committing, because they didn't see their mother or their father commit. There's a fair amount of Puerto Ricans where you live. There's a good and bad women of all races. Oh, what topic are we talking about? We're talking about interracial, intercultural dating. We don't die, we multiply. What? I never been with a Black girl. Okay. And that's another thing. Somebody said they never been with a Black girl or Black woman. That was another thing that he mentioned, is that there are so many non-Black men who would love to date Black women, but they don't feel like Black women want them. And so they don't even try. Even on dating apps, there were many white men who would automatically just put white woman, because that's only people that they've dated, and they don't think that a Black woman would want them, so they never even open their options to do so. I will say for non-Black men who would want to date Black women, there are going to be Black women who are going to be opening up their options, and is going to take dating in communication in order to make sure y'all are on the same page. And you may have to date multiple Black women, and you may make sure that y'all's values align before committing into anything. So again, this author, he emphasizes that he does not say Black men are worthless whatsoever. It's not like they are worthless or that they are bad people, but he emphasizes that the numbers are stacked against Black women when it comes to dating Black men. And Black women are carrying the burden of trying to keep their race alive, and that burden ends with them not getting married, which is why the marriage decline in African American community is such a thing, right? Because more Black women are not getting married. You said, I do think that there is things where some people want Black African folks to breed ourselves out. Yeah. Where do you stand? I've dated interracially for sure. I dated a few times interracially, and I've definitely dated interculturally for sure. So that is a thing, but I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like there will always be Black people in America. Yes, possibly class differences, cultural differences, racism, bigotry with family members are some negatives in my opinion. Relationships are okay, marriages, no. Didn't work for me, maybe you. So again, Black women, if you want to get married, you have a higher chance to get married to someone who has the same values as you if you date outside of your race. That may increase the marriage rate and also one's individual's life satisfaction, and reduce the community level pressure placed on Black women to wait for a Black partner. On top of that, the author frames it as a path to saving the Black race through stability, but not by abandoning cultural identity. So again, with some of the issues that Black women face dating inside their race is a high incarceration and early mortality rate for Black men, which shrink the dating pool. And we can't just sit up here and we know as Black people, like, okay, yeah, the government stacked those odds against us. They put crack in the community. Those are things that we know already, right? There has been odds stacked against us. But the thing about it is, do you drown or do you save yourself? if your counterparts are not doing the same, or they don't have the same values as you, do you wait and stress yourself out until somebody has the same values as you, or do you go find somebody who has the same values as you? It's really up to you, right? Another issue that we're talking about interracial dating, especially in the Black community, and then we're gonna expand and talk more about cultural and all those things. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And then another issue was economic instability delays, which derails marriage readiness, because most people don't want to get married unless they are financially and economically, which is the same thing, prepared to do so. Another one is decline in blue collar work that previously supported married households. I do feel like their blue collar work is increasing now, but there was such a decrease in people going and getting blue collar work. I think also, especially with the internet being a thing where a lot of people wanted to grow on the internet and make money from that. And, at one point they were talking about there was no plumbers. Plumbers are now making so much money because there is not enough people out there who want to do these jobs. But I think that we may see an increase in that in the next 10 years of people being in blue collar work. And then another issue was fewer marriageable men relative to equally educated Black women. Yeah, I know people look down on it, but I'm like, money is money. Money is money. Get to the bag. And so some other things is that the strongest racial loyalty norm in dating exists among Black women. Black women are very loyal to their race. But the thing about it is that we get the bad end of the stick, because that ends up many Black women are not getting married. They're becoming baby moms. They're not being committed to. So many issues, right? Also, again, like I said earlier, Black men tend to interracially date at higher rates than Black women. Fear of cultural disconnect when dating outside the race occurs when as a Black woman. And then intergenerational trauma and distrust around commitment, because we've had broken families, lack of model stable relationships. So these are some of the issues that as a Black woman you face when you go out there and you're dating only Black women. Only Black men. So many Black women are socialized to be resilient, self-sacrificing, and community-oriented, which can translate into waiting for a Black man to catch up with them, right? Instead of choosing a partner who is already compatible. And as I know many Black men who already watch my channel, y'all let me know how it is dating Black women. Are you guys highly educated? Is there an educational difference? Because I know I've dated, I remember dating a Black man one time, and he was actually older than me, but he always emphasized my education. And I always thought that was so interesting, because I'm like, yeah, I'm educated. What does that have to do with anything? Not even Black men want to date them. Okay. It's hard, but I think it's possible to have a good interracial relationship. That part of why they don't approach in public, they care too much about others' perspectives. Okay. So, what's some more information that we're going to talk about with this? So again, some of the challenges are cultural mismatch, religion, language, tradition, when it comes to interracial or intercultural dating, family acceptance, especially in the older generation, and navigating race-based conversations, and how to maintain cultural identity without feeling like you're abandoning the community. Because I feel like that is one of the biggest issues. How am I supposed to connect to these people if my own personal culture it feels opposite, So some current studies, I was trying to find current studies, but I couldn't really find a lot of studies, in the same way as this, because he was very hands-on with his studies. The way he got a lot of this information was through actual hands-on conversations. He took a lot of people out to dinner, had many conversations with these women about their life, and some of them he mentioned were like therapy for some of these women. So he got to know this information not just through actual like numbers, but through in-face conversations, where he started to see a trend in many of these older middle class women. On average, I believe these women were around late 30s, 40s, and they were highly educated and middle class. Tell me more, you black man. Why you turning your back? Lucifer, ain't you a black man? You tell us, friend. Y'all don't start arguing in the chat though, y'all. Please don't start arguing. The most data that I could really get from this, from my own personal research, was on average, just more people were more accepting of interracial relationships than previously. But there's not a lot of data, and maybe I just didn't go as deep as I could have. I don't know. That could have been my own personal limitation. But I just didn't find a lot of data when it came to interracial relationships. Let me see. Yeah, so this one is according to 2021 poll, 94% of US adults approved of marriages between black and white people, which was up from 87% in 2013. And then interracial marriages have risen about 17% by 2015. So okay, hold up. We're not gonna argue in the chat. I'm gonna delete both of these messages because there's no reason to argue in the chat. We're just talking about data, y'all. That's all. We're just talking about data. You said my current wife is more college educated than me. She's black. I'm older and have more life experience. I'm black and prefer my own race. Yeah, interracial relationships are just relationships now, really. No, I don't know if they just relationship. You got a lot of things to you have to do more. You have to communicate a lot more in an interracial relationship. Are you currently in an interracial relationship? You don't have to answer, but I'm just asking because on the subject of it. No, I'm not in an interracial relationship. Fire spawnable. Ain't you one of my old people too? You used to watch my tarot videos. It feels like it's a lot more normalized today. It is, definitely. Because even there's this Asian woman who I watch. I think she's Vietnamese, but she dates a German man, right? And so her content is about a Vietnamese woman living in Germany and adjusting, right? And then I've even seen a woman, she was she Mexican? She was either Latin or Hispanic. I don't know. But her content is all about her adjusting to living in America and raising, Hispanic, Latin children. I don't know which one. Let's say Spanish speaking kids in America, with her, I believe, white husband. So you'll see, you see people communicating about, here's how I'm adjusting in a different culture, in a different place, dating this particular individual. You said that you stopped doing tarot, but I stay subscribed. Yeah. I do, girl. I was doing it for like a year. I remember y'all. I'd be like, where are my people at? Those were my people originally. I have a different community, it be seeming like, but y'all still here. That make me happy. So let's get into culture, because oftentimes race is just a superficial thing. What matters more is culture. If you've been watching our marriage videos this past month that we've been talking about, we know that marriages don't last based on you guys having the same hobbies. You like jet skiing and this person like knitting in the corner, right? It's more of values that can destroy a marriage, is different values. And then identity shifts that are not heavily communicated. What else did we say could destroy marriages? Financial problems, which often lie in communication. So lack of communication, identity shifts, and values can be some of the biggest indicators of a relationship not working out. So thank you, Rico. Race is social construct, but this country is part of the world, are too screwed up in the head. Yeah, race is definitely a social construct. But the thing about it is race, many people, when it comes to race, we pair up and then we create a culture around our race. And so really the issue is not always the race, it's the cultural difference. And we don't always fine. We don't look at it as it's a cultural difference. Hey, Kiefer, welcome back. So some of the stories that he mentioned in the book that I'll tell you guys now. So one woman, she was unmarried. She was highly educated. I believe she might have been a lawyer or something. And she had owned a home, and she went to like a friend family event, and she met this man, which was in a different state. And they started having conversations, getting to know each other. They enjoyed the conversations. These are two black people, black woman, black man. The black man was not as highly educated as she was. I don't know what exactly. I think he did like construction or something like that. And so they decided that they wanted to take their relationship to the next level. She said she wasn't going to move, right? She didn't want to move. So he moved into her home. I don't know. I would not be comfortable with that. As a man, I don't know if, like, as a man, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. And as a woman, I wouldn't be comfortable with my man quitting his job to go find another job and live in my home. I just don't want to ever emasculate a man in that way. You know, some people be like, oh, you know, it's just da da da. No, subconsciously, it's an emasculation thing that occurs. And so he was living in her home, and he had to find a job, but he didn't find a job for a long time. And so obviously she was the breadwinner, and you know, they ended up having children together, but their relationship ended up breaking apart. It ended. Why? Because of cultural differences. Although they were two black people, African American people, it ended because of cultural differences. And you look on the outside and you think it's just finances, but really the issue was she valued education. And so she wanted to invest her money into her children's education. He didn't value the same thing. He wanted to invest her money, really. But once you get married, it's y'all's. But when you look at it from what's really happening, the money that she earned, he wanted to put that money towards other things like cars. And this is not the first time that I'm hearing of a man in a black relationship wanting to put his money towards cars and superficial things. I don't understand it, but obviously it was a cultural difference. He didn't value education. He didn't want to put money towards their kids' education. But on top of that, another issue that they had was that he felt like he had to go and ask her for money because he didn't have an income. So he had to go and ask her for money. And so she didn't feel comfortable, although again, they're married, it's supposed to be their money. She didn't feel comfortable giving him money. And it was kind of like, well, if he asked for money, what are you going to do with this money? Where are you going to put this money? Because obviously she didn't trust him with money, right? So eventually their marriage failed. They did not last. But you see that although in this black woman and black man's relationship, the cultural differences separated them. Their inability to communicate about money and their values altogether were the biggest issues. You personally couldn't move into a woman's house? Yeah, I don't know how he did it. And it's definitely going to be an 86 Regal in the mix. Is that like a fight? When you do that, you lose all power and control. I agree. Sometimes less is confused for love. Hold up, I'm missing some stuff. We don't want to acknowledge the fact that there are cultural differences and they do have impact on certain aspects of relationships. Yeah. Even if you dating in your race, it's a cultural difference. I ain't been here in a week. Now she's switching sides. I'm committed. I just what did you say? I just like some me time. I'm here, ain't no switching. Okay, Lucifer. We'll never move to a woman's house. Facts. A woman is supposed to come into a man's life. Exactly. So that was obviously the first problem. So let's talk about it. Culture. Y'all know I'm using etymolon.com. Culture in regards to, it's the pertaining to raising of plants or animals. So how they are raised, obviously. How they are cultivated. Educationally, what else? Ways of life. Hold up, no, that's counterculture. No. Where is my definition? Okay, so basically, if you want to look at it, culture is how people are raised. So some of the things about culture is culture is important because it shapes identity and values. Again, we know that the biggest things in a marriage is identity and values and communication. So you see culture as like the memories of a certain type of person or people. Although we have like individual cultures within the American society, I have dated interracially. We have culture in the individual society, but even expanded, we have American culture, which is greater than, you know, the individual culture within our society. So there are different levels to culture that people are experiencing, and people are reacting to all these levels of culture, which is why communication is so important. Maybe that should have been a conversation, is communication in marriage, but maybe in the future. Culture and tradition, yes, Rico, you are correct. So culture gives people a strong sense of belonging and security by connecting them to their ancestor and their community, which I think is probably why Black women are so loyal, because Black women are very intuitive, and you know, they probably feel a stronger connection to their ancestor and their community. And obviously the way we were socialized, especially the stories that we hear about slavery, some of those things could have aided in who we are today. And then not just that, but just, you know, Black people living in America, our stories that we hear socializes us different to have different desires. Culture way better than American culture. Hey, James Bond. Okay. So also culture fosters social cohesion, so brings people together, you know, socially. And it gives them like a same standard and playing field to engage in life together, right? So activities such like Rico said, traditions, festivals, classes, these things bring people together, and it glues a community together by promoting social solidarity and cohesion, and increases tolerance. So like culture could be like Christmas, right? One person can celebrate Christmas, another person could not celebrate Christians. Christmas. That's going to show a different culture. Culture also drives creativity and self-expression. Culture is the expression of our collective stories and imagination. So you can see like with certain cultures, let's say, I think it's the Muslims, you know, they wear the hijabs. That's a cultural experience. And that's a cultural expression. Whereas, you know, some African American people may wear like the native African, what is it called? Like clothing and stuff, are just like how African people wear their own garb. How do you call it? Like their clothing that they wear with the patterns and stuff. Or even with like Asian people, they have a cultural clothing that they wear. So these are, culture is important because it's how we also express ourselves. Garments. Thank you, James. Appreciate you. I'm not Christian, but I love Christmas. That's religion, not culture. Religion is a part of culture, though. There is a religious culture that is created. Kinti, the shiki, yeah, all those things. You can always tell who's by how they dress. Yeah. So yeah, even like there's a work culture. There's so many different versions of culture that people can experience. Because even in work culture, you'll see a difference. So you can see like if you work in corporate, work culture will lead to people dressing up more professionally versus if you work, let's say, blue collared. You're not going to dress the same. You're not going to dress as professionally. Your professional dress may be, what are those one pieces called? I don't know. I don't know the different names of clothing items, but y'all get the gist, okay? Even in culture, there's languages that people speak. I have a cousin. I remember I have a younger cousin who she is mixed Black and Latina, I think you would call it, because she is mixed with her mom is Brazilian. So she grew up, and I remember when she was younger, people would ask her, what do you mix with? And she would say, I'm mixed with handsome and beautiful. Because obviously she would get that question so often. And instead of always having to tell people, I'm a Latina and I am black. She didn't want to say that. Oh, uniforms, they're called uniforms. Thank you, Lucifer. Onesies. John said onesies. Oh my God. So, what was I saying? That just threw me off. That is so funny. Onesies is hilarious. Okay, so hold up. So make sure y'all like the video, y'all. Like the video. Double tap the live, y'all. So even when it comes to like with my younger cousin, she bilingual, she was well traveled at a young age, all these things because she was able to experience both of her cultures. And so she obviously had a more open mind, but she was still very, well, I don't know, she had her own experiences that was separate from anything that as a black woman I probably could imagine, right? Which probably led her to be more open-minded. But I mean, she still went to her mom, although her mom was not black. Y'all know in Brazil experienced lots of racism as well. So her mom was very pro-black, and she considered her background as black as well. It was an African American, but although she was a white-skinned person, she seen her background as being black and whitewashed. So she did not like the whitewashing of her black people. So her mom was still very pro-black, and so my cousin is still very pro-black. And you know, she's probably not going to date, if it's not some form of a melanated person, she's probably not going to date outside of her race, right? So you can still see that culturally, although she has a Latina mom and a black dad, her mom was the driving force for their cultural experiences. So that still made her very pro-black. So some of the things about it, when it comes to individuals in these interracial, intercultural marriages, we are talking about interracial and intercultural marriages, y'all. Shout out to South Africa. Some of the things that you can experience that's a pro is just an expanded worldview and tolerance of things going on. There is a certain level of ignorance that anybody can experience. You said she's dope. I mean, yes. There is a certain tolerance experience that you can receive in understanding of the world. It's kind of the same way as if you are well traveled and you experience different cultures, you're going to not be as ignorant as someone who only knows their one culture. So if you are dating outside of your race and also interculturally, that is what's going to happen. Hey friend, Fast and Furious, I'm doing well. I have dated outside of my race, y'all. I need to put a note somewhere so y'all can stop asking me the same question. I need to put that on there. Let me put that on there. I have dated outside of my race. Yes. Hold up. Yes. Period. Please donate to the channel. Cash App. $ L Nina 1. Heart. Where's my heart emoji? Heart emoji. She does not discriminate. Okay. Heart emoji. Hold up, go back. Thank you. I'll tell y'all a funny story about me dating outside of my race at the end, though. I'll tell y'all the funny stories at the end. Because I have let me tell y'all, I have a hilarious story about dating outside of my race. And for black women, I'll tell y'all stories about dating outside of my race. So y'all can see if y'all ain't never dated outside y'all's race. It's not that it's being ignorant, but it does matter if you know other cultures. Like me being American, I don't care other people got going on. I just care about my people, Americans. White man, Asian man, Arabic. I'm gonna tell y'all at the end. I'll tell y'all because I know y'all just nosy just like me. So where was we at? Where's my screen? So again, communication skills have to be developed as well, because like for instance, one of the stories in here, there was a white man who dated a black woman. The white man had never dated outside of his race. He's only dated white women. And so with him only dating white women, he never even thought to date outside of his race. It just so happened that the black woman, she was an interior designer. So she went to his house to do some work. They met, they liked each other, so they began dating. And one of the things, I hope this is the correct story, because there was a couple of stories he told around this. But they began dating, and one of the things that they had an issue with was hair. Because as black women, we are socialized to wear weave. Like, that's just what we do. I got weave in right now, you know? And so, a lot of black women, we wear weave. We don't wear our natural hair out as much for various reasons. I don't think it's every black woman who just don't like their hair, because it's not, you know, if y'all see my hair, I got a lot of hair on this head, you know? But I think managing is one of the issues. Daily management of doing your hair is a lot of work for black women. So the issue for him as a white man, he's like, why are you not wearing your hair? Like, wear your hair. And she was trying to explain to him, like, no, like, you know, all these reasonings. And many of the black women who dated interracially, predominantly white men, is what he talked about, they had a discussion of feeling more comfortable wearing their natural hair in comparison to dating black people, which was weird. It was very interesting to hear that conversation and how they felt more comfortable. And some of those people even said that they felt more black dating white people, which will make sense. And I'm saying white because that's the stories that they told, was white people. But it was very interesting to hear that because of their comfort level increased being themselves in their interracial relationship. My baby mama, Native American. One of my cousin's girlfriend is Hawaiian, and they got a baby together. Okay, look at all these interracial relationships. So, you know, there has to be an excessive amount of communication about cultural differences and why people do certain things. So that in an interracial relationship, there's an understanding. And there has to be a understanding of value for those things, and not just expecting people to just change their identity overnight just because they're in an interracial relationship. So, you know, there could be a communication barrier where, you know, some cultures communicate more indirectly. So like there are some Hispanic cultures where the women don't speak first. Some, right? Some Hispanic cultures, the women don't speak first. They wait for the man to speak for the woman. So the women won't even speak. And that could also be like some Middle Eastern people as well, where the man is socialized to speak for the woman. And so you see that person, you know, you date interracially, and they could date a more direct person who's like, you need to speak up. Why are you not speaking up? And that can create imbalance in the relationship because of cultural differences. What? So another thing is that when you're dating interracially and interculturally, you can gain deeper appreciation for your partner's traditions. Whether that's in food, music, or their way of life. I know there's some people who I don't think I could date them culturally because the music is too overstimulating for me. Honestly, overstimulation. I don't like overstimulation. So there are some cultures I just like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I can. Because if I have to wake up and hear that music every day, baby, I'm going to go crazy. Honestly. And that's nothing against their music. That's my tolerance level, right? That's nothing against anybody's music. How about marriage? I don't know. I can marry interculturally for sure. That's not gonna be a problem. Yeah, I'm trying to charge my computer. My computer is dying and I have all these cords just not acting right. There we go. As long as I'm not overstimulated. Because I don't want to be overstimulated for my whole entire life. Like ampo piano music. Y'all ever heard ampo piano music? That music overstimulating. That's one of them. There's other type of music too. So, why is this not charging? I am not married. There we go. Yeah, it does. So there we go. And then also, when y'all are able to communicate these things, it can create a stronger bond, because we know that one of the intimacies that can be built is through conflict. When you and your partner overcome conflict, that builds a strong bond and intimacy within that relationship. So being able to overcome some of these conflicts when it comes to y'all's identity, so that you guys can build a shared identity, will build that very strong relationship that many people are seeking. So some of the challenges, and many people have already mentioned them. What do I think about international? I don't know. I think those flights are expensive. That's what I think. So some of the unique challenges is the communication differences that are going to occur. Obviously, there's going to be communication differences, the tone in which people speak, the way that they speak, the intentions that they have behind speaking, the way that they handle conflict. There's going to be a lot of differences when it comes to cultural things. The way that they have nonverbal cues may be different. The way that they express their emotions, all those things. And so conflict can increase when it comes to communication. So that's a reason why, for every relationship really, but especially in an interracial and intercultural relationship, these are going to be more prominent needs. I know that I was speaking, wasn't directly, but it was in a group setting. I was speaking to, well, this woman was speaking about marriage, and she married interculturally. She didn't say exactly what type of culture and who the person she married was, but she did mention how she married interculturally, and one of the things that she would value is learning how to speak to her husband, because she probably had miscommunications in her relationship, and that's obviously going to be an issue. Especially, like, let's say, for instance, as an African American woman, I was raised to be very independent. Whereas if I date, let's say, a Nigerian man, there's going to be a difference where I'm very independent and they are raised to be the head, and for their spouses to be dependent on them, right? More often. So those could be nonverbal communication barriers that occur in a relationship. Also, family in-law expectations could be an issue in marrying interracially, interculturally. So there's going to be different cultural norms regarding the roles of the extended family. So here's one of the things that I've heard and noticed is some cultures value their elders living with them. Some Asian cultures, some African cultures, it's a norm for the elders to come and stay in the household. Maybe it could be for a short time, like when children are born, raising the children, or just in general, that's just a norm. Or let's say if there is someone sick, that is a norm for them to take in them and take care of them and be a caregiver for their elders. So that could be a expectation that differs, because I know for certain I don't have any plans on taking care of nobody. honestly. I never really lived in the mindset of wanting anybody else except for me and my husband to live in our home and the children that we have, right? So for me personally, that would be a big challenge to have to get used to if now I have family members, because I don't see the value, right? But maybe through that experience I would see the value. You never really know until you have those conversations and you guys get on the same page. And then another thing is that intercultural couples often report more problems with in-laws compared to same culture couples. Makes sense. Also, clashes in core values and traditions. So major life areas like child rearing, parenting styles, finances, gender roles, religious practices are often deeply rooted in culture and can become sources of serious conflict if not discussed and negotiated proactively. 90 Day Fiance. Yeah, I've seen a few of those episodes, but it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. So again, if we know that values are important in a marriage and having the same values are important, these are the areas that need to be discussed early on before committing on paper. Child rearing, how you parent if you want children, finances, how we're going to manage finances, what is our expectations, who's the breadwinner, who's the one who's going to do all of that, the roles, gender roles in a relationship, and whatever religious practices. I know another couple, I don't know them personally, but I was raised around their daughter. He was a black man. She was Japanese, I believe. She was Asian. I never really met her personally, but the black man was heavily involved in the church that I went to as a kid, and his daughter was there as well. But she never came to the church because that was not her religious beliefs. I don't know how they communicated that, but you see how that, went about, is that he still took their daughter to church. I also know that their daughter was heavily bullied for being mixed race. And I don't think she was the aesthetics of a, Blasian person as well. She didn't have those aesthetics, especially like the hair and stuff, because she was still very, like, skin-wise, black presenting. But feature-wise, she had Asian features. That makes sense? So those are some of the things that could be a challenge. Of course, that's when we were younger, so that was years ago. More people are more, again, privy and accepting of mixed race people, but that is a challenge when you think about, where am I going to raise my children? Because she was obviously raised in a black community as a mixed race child. So another issue is pressure and isolation as a couple, because couples may face those disapproving. Like, they may face a lot of people who are disapproving of their relationship. Prejudice, and then some people may be discriminated from family, friends, or society, and that could lead to feeling of loneliness or isolation for either one or both of the partners. Again, in this book, one of the stories that I mentioned, the one where I mentioned earlier of the white man who never dated outside his race, but he ended up marrying his wife, who was a black woman. He ended up having to end his long-term friendship. His best friend, who was his best friend his entire life, he had to end that relationship because he was not accepting of their marriage. So that is something that is possible if you are dating interracially. Majority is typically interracially. There are going to be some relationships that you'll have to get rid of in order for your marriage to survive, because that would have been a strain on their marriage if he was continuing to hang out with this man who was very blatant about his disapproval in his relationship that he was happy in. Obviously, the bull, we love all mixes of black. Interracial relationships don't go together. Well, you said we, but the we that you're in may not be the we that other people are in, So we gotta be honest about people's experiences, because that was a real experience that she had. So again, when you have interracial, intercultural relationships, if they are not able to overcome the conflict, we got 99 votes, y'all. Y'all like this topic. Y'all like this topic. Maybe because it's a good Sunday as well. Who knows? Who knows what's the reason everybody on here today. So if you guys are not able to overcome the conflict to build the intimacy together, that's going to create higher stress in y'all's relationship. And with all of that stress accumulated from the societal challenges, it contributes to a higher risk of divorce and separation among interracial, intercultural couples. And so these are some of the things that you're going to have to think about if you date interracially or interculturally. And you have to find a way to adjust and keep it pushing and focus on the values that you and your partner have, you and your spouse have. It's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. Bully from Black. Yeah, she was raised in a Black environment, in a Black school with Black kids. She was bullied. But I mean, it's the same thing that can happen if you raise in a white environment. It may not always just be direct bullying, but feeling separate, you know, feeling excluded can be something that can occur from mixed race people, a feeling of exclusion. So it's different. It depends on the environment that you're raised in, because I know like South Africa, and if y'all are South African on here, y'all let me know, but South African people have a different relationship to race than African American people, or American people, let's say American people. Like the girl Tahila, what's that girl? It's a singer who's South African. South African singer. Because she said, I'm not Black. I think that's what it was. Tyla, that's her name, Tyla. I guess in South Africa, they have colored. They say colored. Huh. Which, you know, Black people, if you call us colored, we gonna have an issue. So there was this was at the beginning, was this in August? Dang, that was just in August. There was an uproar and backlash that she received because she's South African, and she said that she's colored. So and so the United States, we like, baby, we don't use those terms around these parts. Obviously, there's a cultural difference. Obviously. So make sure that if you want to have a successful interracial relationship, you have the same values. Make sure y'all's values are aligned. And that you guys can make decisions as a couple based on shared values. You have to have open dialogue, over communicate. In any relationship, really, you should over communicate if you want it to last. But especially in interracial, intercultural relationships, you have to over communicate. You have to be flexible, and you have to be willing to create a new shared culture. Because obviously, if you date interracially or interculturally, the culture, you will not be just having one culture. You have to learn to have a shared culture. How you and your partner live y'all's life, because you guys are a union, the way that you have traditions, all of these things. And I will even say that even in dating a same race, especially in a world like America, with anybody, you're probably going to have to adjust to different cultures. This is me as an American. In any other society, it may be different, because America is a mixing pot of people, races, religions, cultures, all those things. Maybe if you're in a different country where it's more people who you wake up and you look out the window, they look like you, they have everything the same as you, you may not have to do that. But especially in America, you're going to have to over communicate about your values, your culture, the traditions that you want for yourself in order to make a marriage last and create a new culture in your marriage. So that is the conversation that I have. Sunny Wunny, you want to say hi to your aunts and your uncles? Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come here, Sunny Wunny. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. I don't think he wants to come over here. He's just staring at me. He doesn't want to come over here. So yeah, y'all, make sure y'all like the video, y'all. Make sure y'all vote if y'all haven't been voting. We got 100 votes. So this is the perfect 100. At 100 votes, 57 people said yes. 34 people said, hold up. 34 people said no. 6 people said I don't want to date outside of their race. And then 3 people said that they're scared to date interculturally, interracially. So there y'all go. There you go. There is the facts. That's out of 100 people. 100 random people of every race and culture on this live. So that is what I have for you guys today. I think the biggest thing about getting married and staying married is finding someone who has the same values as you. I think that's what probably the biggest challenge in dating is, being sure of that. Universe works in mysterious ways. So I'll tell y'all a story. I will say, dating interculturally, dating interracially, I've had better dates dating interracially and interculturally. So I will say that dating interracially, off rip, they spent the most money on our dates. I dated one guy, and on our date, I got to know a lot about him. But he was Middle Eastern. I can't remember exactly where he was from. Lebanon. I think he was Lebanese. Is it something about hair? What hair? What you mean? Don't play with me, John. I know what you mean. You playing. So he was Lebanese. He spent a lot of money on that date. We went to a lot of places in one day. But I also got to know a lot about him as an individual. So I don't know if it was just because he was Lebanese or his particular experiences in life that made him the way he was. That made him be this way. But he definitely, I was having a lot of issues in my personal life at the time. And he was like, move in with me. I will help you. And I was like, no, thank you. So I will say for sure, anytime I had issues dating outside of my race, they were more often like, let me do the work to help you. Let me help you figure this out. The funny story, though, that wasn't a funny story. The funny story that I had, though, this is the first time I've ever dated a white guy, right? And this man, where did I even meet this man? I don't even remember where I met this man. I don't even remember. Where did I meet this man at? Y'all, just know that he scared me in dating white people. I'm not gonna lie. He scared me because one of the things that I value in any relationship is feeling protected and safe. And he had a string of bad luck just happening to him. He just had the worst bad luck in the whole entire world. The worst bad luck. On our first date, it made me feel uncomfortable because as a black woman, like going out with a man who has some of the bad luck that he had, it made me be like, I don't want you to think it's because of me. Like, you know how people can look at a black woman and think she'll set somebody up. the way that some of the things that was happening to him was happening, it made me feel like don't think that I'm setting you up, because what is going on? Like, this is not okay. On our first day we went out, his car got broken into, y'all. His car got broken into, y'all. They went, and for some reason he left all of his stuff, like his computers, in the car. He didn't have much. I think because he came from a small town, but he dated interracially before me, so it wasn't like I was his first person dating outside, right? Like, it was an ancestor. No, don't blame my ancestors for his downfall. No, 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 no. So he ended up getting his car broken into. They stole all his work computers. So they stole his work computers, and he did his job. He was what did he do? It was a very interesting job that he had. I forgot. Y'all, I'm getting hungry, y'all. That's not even one thing, right? So that was our first date. So I stayed there, and because he told me, by the time he told me, I was already gone. So I had came back to, be supportive, like, your car got broken into, like, that's crazy. So I had came back to go be supportive, and I saw it. He told me what happened, like, he left the computers, they stole his computers. He got fired from his job because they broke into his car and stole his computers. I said, oh my God. So he got fired. So he didn't have a job for a long time. But the thing about him is he didn't let that deter him, because he ended up starting his own business. But he started a roofing business, y'all. This man was so unfortunate. I don't know what was going on with that man. He started a roofing business. He fell off the roof of one of the when he was at work. He fell off one of the roofs. So then he got physically hurt after getting fired. But the business ended up doing well. He ended up making good money in the business because he had partnerships in the business. And it didn't start off well, but it went well. He ended up getting another job that allowed him to travel. He studied sunscreen. He was some type of scientist. I keep forgetting. He was some type of scientist, y'all. But just to know, he had, what else? He had his car broken into multiple times. And the thing about it, he didn't have like no nice car. He had a regular car. So I'm like, why are people targeting you? Like, why are people targeting you out of all people? Why do you have bad luck? I don't know, y'all. He was a nice guy, though. But I said, I can't date a man with bad luck. You done got your car broken into multiple times. You done fall off of roofs. You done got fired for bullshit. This is too much. I just feel like at that point, you have some type of internal shame or guilt that is attracting these bad experiences. So that then made me very much uncomfortable. I said, I don't know. Those are a couple of stories that I have for y'all if y'all wanted to know about interracial dating. And the issues in those stories was never about the race, obviously. It was about my values. I was like, oh, we have different values. You just out here spending hella money. You got it, but you just out here spending all the money. He was popping. I don't think so. I don't think he did drugs. I don't think he did any drugs. Do you think by dating outside your race hurts you in the long run? I don't know. It depends on your values. All in one fell. Yeah, he lost a lot. I was like, got a lot going on. So if you guys want to date outside y'all's race, make sure y'all have the same values. Because, baby, interculturally, though, I've had good experiences dating interculturally, for sure. I'm not going to say exactly the cultures that I dated or, like, what they're, right? I mean, they were black, but they were just different cultures. I had great experiences. I don't mind marrying interculturally. When I dated a white girl, I got dirty looks from some white men and some black women. Yeah, I think that's to be expected. You never know what motherfuckers into this day and age. That's true. That's true. But he also was very nervous. He had a very nervous energy about him as well. Make sure y'all like the live, y'all. But yeah. But I think again, he was just nervous because his culture. He was raised in a very small town, like where it's like 100 people in a town, and then he lived in a big city. So like he just had that nervous energy about him. So that's a cultural difference. Very much cultural. Because small town mindset in a big city world, that don't mix, baby. Small town people can get taken advantage of if you're not used to the big city world. And just because you may date someone outside your race doesn't necessarily mean you don't like your own people. Yeah. I feel like for me, if you see me dating outside of my race, it's because I just have to save myself. Because I can't keep going through different experiences. But more often, you might see me date interculturally and enjoy intercultural dating before dating interracially. And if you see me dating interracially, it's because we have the exact same values and we make complete sense. Lansing, Michigan, that's where you from? Lucifer, that's why you be cutting up in the chat, acting ignorant. Is that what it is? So, I don't know, for me, y'all know I love Mona Leo. You know that one line she said? She said, "And I can't date no, because I'm going to kill him if he say, and I'm not playing." Y'all fill in the blanks. Y'all fill in the blanks. I don't think that would ever happen. But there are some like blue, what's his name? Blueface? Blueface was dating a girl. And this is one of my issues when it comes to black men dating outside their race. It's like, already, when you have children, the woman is the one who passes on the culture already more often. So obviously there could possibly be a cultural loss for black men dating outside the race. Which is why, the earlier story that I told you guys about my younger cousin where her mom was very pro-black is because of her culture. And she came from what she considered a black culture, black Latino culture. And she didn't like the whitewashing of her culture, so she wanted to go back into the black culture. Hello, Alex. Do you remember me? Friend, when was the last time you was on a video? Tell me that. So anywho, Blueface, he had a new girlfriend when he got out of jail. Let me see. New girlfriend. Her name was Angela. Angela was on the phone with him. And Angela was upset with Blueface. And she kept saying, what word y'all think she kept saying? Y'all guess. What word y'all think she kept saying on the phone? And he said, the only reason you could say that is because you with me. So these are some of the problems that people face dating interracially. Is the ignorance of their counterpart. Oh, let me see. Here it is right here. That she was there too. She probably was in the house. Yes. And you'll see that sometimes with our Uncle Ruckus type men, they forget that there should be boundaries in a relationship. Let me see. Let me turn my volume up so y'all can hear it.
You mad for what?
You what? What I do?
What you want? What happened?
No, I'm just in here rapping, my brother DDG and all that. I was just checking up on you. You up?
Are you talking to me right now, bud?
I know, but you took it. I was like,
I've been up.
I was like 6 rings though. I need that first ring. Oh, hello.
You didn't call. You didn't answer my first ring, nigga. The fuck?
Alright. You my girl, so you can act like this, you feel me? If there's anybody else, though, I'll be mad as fuck. The fuck what, though? I'm gonna call my girlfriend. What you trying to do?
Oh, you trying me, nigga.
I love your little ghetto eyes. You trying me, nigga?
She said it many more times.
More.
That was just the 2 times in that one span. And she was obviously very comfortable. Let me show y'all what she looked like. Obviously she was very comfortable. And that is an issue that I feel dating interracially, because she's what, like Asian, is that there is a lack of consideration for the other race in the racial experiences. And when you have ignorant people, this is what she looked like. When you have ignorant black people who let that slide, there's an issue. And again, although Blueface has a lot of money, there becomes a class separation, which again is why I'm like, okay, dating interracially can be you can see those future differences when it comes to future mixed children, most likely. And, you know, the versus them having a black mom, highly educated, with their non-black partner who created these children, versus, let's say, a black man with their non-black partner who has a whole different cultural values. Y'all get what I'm saying? Hello, Hype Zone. She look like Krishan. Yeah. But Krishan is like black. Krishan got a black mama. Krishan is ignorant as hell. She ghetto. She don't got no class. So these are some of the things that you can see. But that doesn't come from him being a black man. That comes from him just being ignorant and not having no personal standards and boundaries in his own self. So hopefully it's not passed down to his children, because you never know. But yeah, I'm getting really hungry, so other races are now using the N-word towards each other. And anyway, exactly. And obviously, for me personally, I just think it's a level of ignorance. You can't sit up here and tell me, oh, everybody else is doing it, so I'm gonna do it too. Like, no, it's just a level of ignorance. And another thing that this author mentioned is that white trends tend to follow black trends in the data, right? So black marriage fell first, and then now you see white marriage rates falling second. So he notes that in the data, there is a lot of following of black trends, data-wise. And so as black people say all the time, we create a cultural standard. For some odd reason, it's a lot going on in the black race. It's a lot going on. So it was so F up never again. DJ, you think it's because of cultural differences? If you dated non-black women all your life and then you just end up marrying a black woman, that seemed like a cultural difference, friend. People that aren't black have gotten way too comfortable saying that word. Yeah, I don't get it. But everybody want to be a part of something, so the trend stuff is on target. So yeah, y'all. I would just say, if you're going to date outside your race, have standards. The same way that you have standards dating your own race, have standards. Don't just date anybody just to date them. Like, we got to be so serious. I think that sometimes people glorify dating outside of their race because of the trauma that they've had, that they've seen their parents go through, and because they don't know how to differentiate their experience with other people who look like them, they have a hard time just finding someone, or separating their, like, getting outside of their environment and going to find someone who of the same race has those same values, right? And it may just be extra work that some people don't want to do, and that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That just means that's what's happening. So just have standards in dating. Don't let people be disrespectful to your race, and don't disrespect your race either just because of the trauma that you've been through. We all have trauma. And I also think, like, even I believe Asian women date outside of their race at a high rate as well compared to Asian men. And you could see the trauma that Asian women have faced in their own community. The reason why they may want to separate from their man. So trauma does play a big role in why people choose their partner, their mate, their spouse. Don't let that trauma lead to disrespect. Because you could see with a lot of Asian women who marry white men in America, like, that's a big trend. White men in America like to marry Asian women, and what happens? They get their housewife who cooks and cleans for them, and it's just what you see. So that doesn't make it a perfect relationship, but people find solace. I hope y'all didn't hear my stomach growling. I'm about to get off of here because I'm getting real hungry. I haven't eaten anything all morning, y'all. People find solace dating interracially because they think that that's going to solve their problems. But you just carry the problems in a different race. So, yeah, y'all. But I wouldn't say wrong, but I would say non-Black women do things with grace, beauty, and femininity. Yeah, I think, again, DJ, it could be experiences. For some reason, it's sweet how non-Black women talk and respect. Yeah, for some reason, like I just said, a lot of people are traumatized by their race, so they carry that trauma when they see people who look like their people, But I will say that Black men, let me show y'all a different couple. White men, I watched a video where this white man said that dating Black women, he found that dating Black women, they were more feminine. So you can see that everybody has something to say about interracial dating and what they think, but that's just their experience. Girl, what's her name? If I can find this girl, y'all. Yeah, I'm so hungry, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I don't think well when I'm hungry. You said Asian women will get any white man with a heartbeat. I guess they consider that marrying up. And they don't realize, because there's also a difference in their own lifestyle. They just see America. It is marrying up. It is, it is marrying up. If you see some of how it works, for them, so compared to their experience back home. So, hold up, y'all. Okay, so one of the people who I've seen Shayla Ray's World. So she was a hairstylist, and she married a white man, and so she posts a lot about her relationship dating a white man. Very beautiful couple, honestly. If I can say, very beautiful couple. Let me see. Feminine parts in video. Let me see if AI can find an exact part, because I don't know if this is the exact video. Oh, let me see. So I'm going to show y'all this video so you can see what he says why he dated and married her. Now, mind you, I really like this couple, watching them. She has a son already. They don't have children together, but they've married multiple times all around the world. They've gotten married. They eloped multiple times all around the world. It's real cute, if I can say. But let me see. Make sure the sound is up.
Is first femininity. Black women are very feminine. I'm just shocked people have questions for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's so general. But I would say friends I have that also date black women, a few of the conversations we've had, is first femininity. Black women are very feminine. Not ashamed of it or not shy of it in any way. They're very feminine and very willing to express their femininity. That's very attractive to the men I know, to me and the men I know.
Yep.
And the black women that my friends are involved with and my wife, Shayla, work very hard at keeping themselves in good spiritual and physical fit condition so that they can express their beauty. They just have more natural way of expressing their beauty. Mm-hmm. Is my opinion on it. It's not. You don't have to scratch very deep to find the woman in there.
Right, it's not forced.
All girl.
I remember once you said when we put it together, like our look.
Yeah.
When we put it on, when
Yeah.
we were getting ready.
Yeah, they look like they've been putting it together.
Right.
The black girls, they've been giving this some thought for a while, and they're pulling it off too.
That's right. And then what about me and all my lotions and potions and moisturizers?
So, just the same way that one person can say that they only date outside of their race for this particular reason, a man of a different race is saying that same exact thing about other people. So y'all, don't argue in the chat, y'all. It's not that big of a deal. Please. So I want you guys to know that some things are experienced through trauma, and sometimes we make relationship decisions based on trauma. Y'all, I'm about to get off of here. My stomach is growling. So this is the last thing that I'm gonna say. I'm gonna delete this Rico. I don't know what he said, but let me see. I'm gonna delete that too from him. Do the no specs. You won't believe. Where did he at you? Sorry, okay, I'm gonna delete this. And then I'm just delete the last conversations. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I want you guys to know that everybody has a different reason for dating. Make sure you're dating. If you're dating outside of your race, it's only because there are values that are aligned with who you want to be and where you want to be, and that you and your partner's values aligned. Okay? Not that it's because you're comparing to somebody else, because there are possibilities that certain people don't feel safe to express their femininity. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't mean that people should be rude or talk to people disrespectfully, but everybody has their own experiences. You know? Everybody has their own experiences. So y'all, that's all I have for you guys. You know, date interracially so you guys can get a vibe of it. I would say as a black man, your values are shown with who you date. Let's just keep it at that point, right? And as a black woman, don't be self-sacrificing it's okay to overcome conflict in your relationship, and there are many, you don't have to just date African American men. There are other races that you could date. I'm not just races, but cultures that you can date, because either way, if you're a highly educated Black woman, you're going to have to face cultural differences in your Black relationship. So either way, you're going to have to do cultural differences in general, you know, unless you come from a small town where you guys got to know each other. So that's what I got for you guys. I'll see you guys later. I'll see you guys tomorrow, where we'll have our second to last conversation on the topic. Hopefully I can probably put a little bit more communication in the chat so you guys can, well, communication topics about marriage. So maybe I'll do a like slight discussion about it, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So our last conversations will be 7 reasons why you shouldn't get married, and then we'll do ways to prepare for marriage through dating. And that'll be our last conversation. What am I eating today? I don't know. I cleaned my refrigerator out last night, so I might just go stop and get some food, but I don't know where I'm gonna stop and get food from. I'll figure it out. But I love you guys. I might go get a smoothie. I think that would be nice, a smoothie. But I love you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.